We welcome back to our program someone who has significant insights in this matter because he worked so hard on behalf of our nation trying to deal with these border issues. He is Hipolito Acosta, former Border Patrol agent, former district director of the Office of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And again, Hipolito is Skyping in from Houston. We hope to, Hipolito, in just a little while have James O'Keefe to talk about his interesting video the other day. But let's talk about the sad reality of the death of this off-duty Border Patrol officer. Give us your take, what you are hearing in Houston and elsewhere there in Texas about the killing of Officer Vega.
Well, it's a very unfortunate incident, and of course our heart goes out to the Vega family. These two criminals, as you can say, they keep going back and forth between our two countries. Obviously, the deportation had not worked in the past, and unfortunately took the death of one of our agents, one of our Border Patrol agents, law enforcement agents, to hopefully put him away for life. It's an unfortunate incident, and again, our hearts go out to the Vega family.
Hipolito, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but even during my days in Congress, we were hearing that the drug cartels, and I guess it is Los Zetas, the group of former Mexican special forces now in the employ of the cartels, have now taken a much more assertive role, maybe that's putting it diplomatically, about the sheriff's departments on the border, in essence threatening those sheriff's deputies and their families. Have you heard about those threats in recent months?
Well, we've heard it during the past few years, and as you all know, we've actually had some unfortunate corruption along the South Texas border as well. The past couple of years, a number of law enforcement officers have actually been convicted for being in cahoots with some of the cartel members from Mexico. So there's nothing to say that these guys. I think the important thing is they don't respect borders. They respect American law enforcement because by and large, our American law enforcement officers are dedicated, they're professionals. We are going to have our weak spots, and they know that. And if it's not law enforcement, they are also going to resort to threats of other family members. And look, I think that one of the things that the public doesn't know is that we have a lot of cartel members in the United States, in Houston, in Austin, Atlanta, Chicago, as you all know. As a matter of fact, the twin sons of a gentleman that I arrested more than 30 years ago were two other cartel heads in Chicago. So it kind of gives the public an idea of how bad the situation is. And again, they have no respect for borders. These are criminals. They're criminals in Mexico, other countries, and they are criminals in the United States.
Hipolito, as you make those points, it is worth noting that if the drug cartels can do it, certainly those involved in Islamofascism can do it as well. Hipolito, we're going to ask you to stand by as we have James O'Keefe join us in this conversation. James is the founder of Project Veritas. He released the video yesterday, and I think we can take a look at it, showing just how easy it was for him, basically wearing the wardrobe of Osama bin Laden, to cross the border illegally there in the Rio Grande and enter into the United States. James O'Keefe, we welcome you to America's Forum as you Skype in from Jersey City this morning. James, some of the establishment media is giving you grief about this video. How do you react to the criticism that is showing up of the video you just made available?
Well, when you're getting flack, you're definitely over the target. And when we're causing people to react, to think, people start thinking, they start reacting. That's exactly what we're trying to expose. But we've embarrassed people who are our political representatives, who said that the border is secure and the fence is complete. Our video shows that the border is so insecure that I can cross the Rio Grande wearing camouflage, a turban mask, and Osama bin Laden camouflage, and crossed the Rio Grande. No Border Patrol agents were ever anywhere around me, and I could walk halfway to I-10 without seeing anything. And this is an outrage. I mean, border security is now national security, and I hope that the president and the Congress do something to fix the problem.
As we take a look at this, Hipolito, you spent your career trying to fight this. Obviously, the heat has gotten turned up on it. How frustrating is it to you now as a former agent to see the video that was just shot here with nobody from enforcement anywhere even close to what our other guest was doing?
I actually took a look at the video yesterday, and let me be very truthful about this. I would enjoy it if it was truthful reporting, but the reality is that we have sensors, we have Border Patrol agents in those particular areas. Mr. O'Keefe went with a law enforcement officer to the border himself. And I can assure you at all times, I feel very confident that the Border Patrol knew there was activity in the area. There was no reason to stop Mr. O'Keefe. There was no threat. I think that, this skit in itself would be good for Saturday Night Live, but to bring out the factors on security along the border is not what I would want.
Well, James, let's let you respond to what Paulie had to say right there.
Yeah, I mean, there was an iron footbridge that was just up the Rio Grande, just in case you don't want to get your feet wet when you cross the Rio Grande from Mexico into the United States, where there was evidence of people that were crossing. Now, I actually went up to a Border Patrol agent to try to ask a question. This was miles away in the desert, and he scurried away. I mean, there was nobody around where we were. Nobody. And the sheriff that we talked to, the local Hudspeth County sheriff, said that the Border Patrol is never actually on the border. They're just not there. There's not. They're all on Interstate 10 doing Border Patrol checkpoints. They're occasionally miles away, but there's no enforcement. There's a fence that we found that wasn't even complete. You could walk around it. You could walk over an iron footbridge. Why is there an iron footbridge on the Rio Grande? Why hasn't the federal government allowed the sheriff's office to take down the bridge? I mean, if I'm
Paulie, you go ahead and respond to what James is asking.
Actually, there's bridges like that along the border in remote locations where throughout history has been used by both Mexicans and Americans coming in where it's not a designated port of entry, but a Class D port of entry where people could come in. It's a remote location, but it doesn't have an impact. What you're bringing out about national security is the fact that I feel very confident the Border Patrol knew that you were in that particular area, and I would almost feel confident that Sheriff West actually escorted you to the border area, and the Border Patrol agents, for the most part, all of them, probably know that you were being escorted by a sheriff. So I think that, the reality is I think it would have been good if you made a report by going down to Chihuahua City and coming up along the Mexican side and have made entry. That would have been a truthful report. And actually, I'm giving you a personal invitation to go with me, and we can come up from Chihuahua City, or even better yet, if we want to expose the vulnerabilities, we need to go to ground zero of human smuggling, which is Tecunuman, Guatemala, and we can start from there, because I can guarantee you, Mr. O'Keefe, you wouldn't make it from Chihuahua City to the border. Like I said, one of the things was that entering the country illegally, of course, is a violation of law. And I'm also very concerned that Sheriff West was out there participating in a scheme like this.
Let's get James' answer, Paulie. Did you have members of the Hudspeth County Sheriff's Department with you, James, to help you facilitate this?
They were in the area, yes, but
did they escort you down there? That's my question. And I think if you're truthful, you'll agree that there were certain, numerous vehicles that you probably took down into the area that would have been known by the U.S. Border Patrol. Sensors would have been going off. And one of the things about Border Patrol agents...
Let's let James answer it. You say there were sensors down there. James, have you checked with the Border Patrol about sensors being set off, anything like that?
Yeah, the UK Daily Mail, which covered the story yesterday, it was a viral story. It was everywhere. It was actually the most trafficked video on the UK Daily Mail website. They said that they actually asked the Border Patrol, and their response was, "We can't be everywhere." They didn't talk about sensors. They wouldn't comment on this. So if you want to call the Federal Border Patrol, I'd love a response from them. I actually tried to talk to them myself, and they when we got to their vehicles, they drove away.
Well, let us do this, gentlemen, because the four-letter word time is entering into this. Paulie in Houston, James in Jersey City, we appreciate both your perspectives. You have an invitation there from Paulie, James, perhaps to start a little further south. I don't know if that can be done given the fact that Mexico seems to be tougher on illegals than we are, not to mention the Central American countries. But Paulie, with your institutional perspective, and James with your rather provocative videos that make a point, we thank you both. We hope to have you back here on America's Forum in the not too distant future. Thank you, gentlemen, both of you this morning. Now,
thank you.
We've been talking about this issue on the border. ISIS is busy recruiting. More on that. And also, we remember Robin Williams coming up here on America's Forum.